Nels came out when he was 17 and he worked with his dad.
Yes, at Winlaw.
At Winlaw, at the sawmill there.
Yes.
Did your dad talk about that at all? The sawmill at Winlaw?
No.
John Cunningham showed me pictures that they built, the logging company built a bridge. And
that bridge, yes. I wouldn't be surprised.
Did he have bunkhouses there?
No, not at Winlaw. They all stayed. There was some of the men stayed in a boxcar at Winlaw, but most of them went to Slocan City at night and came back in the morning.
Okay. Do you know anything about the operation there? Did they have a planer mill or just a straight?
Yes.
Planer
mill? Yes.
And do you know what kind of burner they had? Okay, so the Patrick one
I should have brought that picture.
The one at the Patrick Brothers is a different kind of burner. It's a huge brick base with a big cone thing on top of it with a big.
So I suppose they were all the same in those days, wouldn't they be?
All that's left out at Winlaw, is the boiler. It's fine. Have you seen it?
It's right at the end of the bridge.
Oh, okay.
It's right at the end of the bridge.
Okay, that's good to know.
But I don't know what, it was a pretty big sawmill.
Oh, it was. Oh, yeah. Do you know, have any idea how many people worked for them?
Oh, 25. I don't know. He's got a picture of, all of them.
I'd say the 25.
25 or 30.
Okay. Do you remember who any of them were? Can you name some people?
Yes, Mr. Blanchard was the...
Oh! Okay.
What was he?
He was the sawyer.
The sawyer.
Yeah.
Who else?
Oh, no, we never went out.
No, I never paid. No, I was never out there when I was little. Never.
Okay, so at Winlaw, did the train come right to the mill?
Yes.
You had a siding right there.
Yes.
For shipping, right. Do you have any idea what kind of wood they were cutting most of the time? No? Okay. Did they make poles?
No, they cut those big flat planks.
Yeah. So there was mostly lumber.
In the yard.
Ties. Did they cut ties?
Okay.
I don't know anything about
They
the
cut
operation.
ties over at Duck Creek, but I don't know if they did up there at Fink.
Yeah.
I think they made ties.
Well, sure, with the railroad expanding everywhere.
Do you know if he bought trees from other people besides having his own?
I never heard of that.
Like they had their own logging, and did they buy from other people? You don't know about that. Okay, that's just asking. Okay, what was the actual name of the company? Do you know?
Well, I don't think they just called it JB Winlaw Lumber Company. I don't think it had any name especially.
Okay. Did he have any partners?
When he got to Duck Creek, they called it JB Winlaw and Son.
But in the Slocan Valley operation, it was
just JB Winlaw.
Was he wealthy, independently wealthy when he came, or how did he have finance?
I've often wondered.
Was he a good car player?
Let me think about that.
No, I seem to remember some great astonishment of him writing a check for $125,000.
Yeah, he had some money, but where he got it, I will never know.
Quite remarkable at that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
A huge fortune.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Granddad.
But I don't
always
know where
dressed
he
in a black serge suit,
okay.
full dress with a boiled front, and
a little
black bow tie, and the beaver hat, the black beaver hat. And that's when he left the sawmill. He dressed in full regalia like we're going to see the Queen at all times. Then he'd arrive in Nelson this was when he was at Wynndel. he'd arrive and one day my brother was down on Baker Street. Jack worked in Emery's at that time, and he was waiting there about where Jelana's pool hall used to be, and this ambulance drove up and backed up to the curb and everything, and out of the back got Granddad. He commandeered him down at the station. They'd taken a patient down, and Granddad, nobody ever refused JB when he came and said to do this and that. They did it. Much to Jack's surprise, Granddad got out and went in the barber shop.
That's a great story.
He was just awful, Shawn.
Oh, he was awful.
Really was.
He always
He
come and
used
sit.
to spit on the floor and then yell at Mother to come and wipe it up. He
Oh.
was awful.
I see.
And then we
But
paid
you know,
$5
men
for a
did that
spaniel
those
dog
days.
once.
Yeah.
We paid $5 for a spaniel dog once, and I remember he was ever after that he was always mumbling about expensive dogs lying on expensive rugs.
How tall was he?
But that's about
He
all
was little and he had red hair and a terrible temper. He was maybe 5'8" or not very
Yeah.
big. A little feisty Irishman, that's what he was.
Yeah. Oh.
Dear.
So he never married again?
No,
What was enough?
but just Jeannette says he tried that, didn't like it.
Nobody was going to tell him what to do.
Right. Okay, so your dad came out at 17. Wow, that must have been something. To arrive with this pepper pot grandpa, dad.
Well, they
You
did
probably didn't know that well, really.
know, and they didn't get along terribly well.
But he took him in as a partner.
Oh yes, that was his son.
Yeah.
You know,
I see.
that was his son. That's
Okay.
the way you treat them has nothing to do with
Yeah.
the fact that they're your son.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Nels came out at 17, worked for his dad, and then in what year do you know when the mill burned down in Winlaw?
That's what I don't know.
Okay.
No, just I can figure out. Just give me time. Oh dear. In about 1905 or 6, didn't it? 1905.
Do you know why
Oh,
it
no
burned
dear,
down?
no dear, no. After you were born, they got married in 1911. Dad and Mom. And it
Oh, excuse
burned
me.
when we were
excuse
living
me, I'm
here
trying
because
to
we
think
could see
something. We could see the glow over
the
the
glow over the mountain there when it burned up.
Wow.
So you were a young girl then.
I was very little.
Yeah.
I can remember being
Yeah.
up in the back bedroom watching it burn.
Okay.
So
So.
about 1915.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Well, they got married in 1911. I know that.
Okay. Maybe I can find it in the old papers the exact date. Probably can. Okay. So, does anybody know how it burned?
I don't.
Of course, sawmills.
Sawmills just burned down and there was
Yeah.
no water, for
Yeah.
it on fire. What was the end of that?
Did they lose everything? Right
It
to the
burned
ground?
right to the ground, yes.
And they lost everything. And he never wanted to he never thought of rebuilding.
No, then who did he buy that mill from over at, who did he do that?
Okay, in this it
That-
says he bought the Homesteaders sawmill
At Wynndel.
at Wynndel.
Duck Creek.
He did, I'm pretty sure he bought that sawmill.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but that's what it says.
I think so. In 1917,
I
does it say?
think it. It just said, okay, it says that he bought some flat land from Paul Hagen
Yes.
to build a mill situated near where the present site of Wynndel Box and Lumber is.
Yes, that's true.
The present site of Wynndel Box and Lumber was the site of Winlaw's lumber yard.
Mhm.
He had a timber limit below Creston in the area of Riverview and logged there to start with. Then he bought out somebody named Grady and
Yes.
got timber limits up on Duck Creek, and that, then during World War I, cleared land for a bigger mill site on the flats. And in 1919, the smokestacks had been erected, and in August of 1919, the whistle at the new Winlaw sawmill was heard for the first time.
Well,
So that, I guess he had an earlier mill, and then he bought it and built a bigger one.
yeah.
So,
That sounds right. I'm trying to remember. I wasn't very big, but I was
No,
over there
you
quite long.
okay. So was the family really upset about, that must have been terrible to be burned out.
I can't remember any uproar about it. Can you?
Well, no, we were just
We were little wee
fooling
kids,
around at
you know. I
in
can't
Nelson
remember
here. I didn't
much.
know anything.
I can remember Mother saying, "Come and look. There's a sawmill burning," but I don't remember any terrible uproar.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Well,
there
I'm sure
was.
there would be a
I'm sure
terrible
there
upset,
was,
all
but
right.
we were little.
Okay. So when did your mom and dad get married?
In 1911,
Okay,
in
and,
Toronto,
and who was your mom?
Alicia Elizabeth Mathis.
Which kind of Matheson? M.A.?
Scotch.
Okay.
Theson.
Okay. And she was from Toronto?
She was from.
Chatsworth,
Was she
What's
someone your
that
dad
place?
had known?
Mary Chatsworth.
Yes.
Before?
Yes, he'd known.
Yeah. Oh.
That's why he went all the way back
Right.
to get married to
Yeah. So she came out here, and they bought
Yes.
a house on
her.
Carbonate
on
Street.
Carbonate Street.
What house is that?
719 Carbonate Street.
719. Did they build that, or
No.
No, they bought
it
it.
was a house already? Do you know whose house it was before?
I should. They were in the lumber business now. I should know.
Maybe I can find it. Okay, and so you were all born
Born in the upstairs bedroom,
and lived in
front of
that.
the house.
Were you born in that upstairs
Everybody
bedroom?
was born in
I
that
wasn't. I
bedroom.
didn't know you were.
You were. We were
Oh,
all
I
born
know
in the
I
front
was.
bedroom.
And how many of you are there?
There's 4 of us. There's me, Mary, and then Jack, and then Jeannette, and then Duck.
Yeah,
And your brother died.
Yes.
he was the youngest.
Okay. Jack, is he still alive?
He's in
Jack lives in
Kootenay.
Kelowna.
Alone. And then you, and then Jack. So you were all you lived in Nelson,
Always.
and did you go to Wynndel on holidays?
Yes, also. Mother,
Sometimes in the summer we
Yeah.
go over there.
Yeah.
grandfather used to take us and feed us strawberries till we got those things, and then sent her boss home to mother.
Well, in those days the lake boats were on too,
Yes.
you might say.
On
They
the
were
soup,
grand.
Dad would go, on
Yeah.
the soup, and he'd come home on the weekend and go back.
We'd sleep over on them. We'd go down in a taxi and get on them. And sleep. Places you could sleep on them. It was really elegant.
Oh,
and
those
grand.
were beautiful boats. Oh, the dining rooms and
Oh,
stuff.
they were grand. They had the gallery around.
And the
The
food.
dining room and then the gallery all the way around on the second story. It was really elegant, wasn't it?
So was there a house there that you could stay in? Like,
Well, we stayed in the office. There were couple of bedrooms in the office there, and of course our Aunt Janet was there then. After a few
And
years.
Mr. Moore was Mrs. Moore used to look after me, do my hair. And Hooks, there were a lot of people that we stayed with.
I've heard that name.
But Hooks,
Yeah, from that target.
Yeah, it's in here. Something about books.
Mrs. Hook used to do my hair because it used to be long.
All right, so I guess you didn't go out on the operations. Maybe your brothers did.
No,
On the-
nobody.
Out to the
No.
Nobody
We could go
did.
down to the mill and we rode on the
Sure.
saw that went
Oh.
back and forth and cut the logs, much to our terror, but it was so exciting.
Must have been something.
It was something, holy.
I didn't want any kid of mine doing it.
No.
I wouldn't let any kid of mine.
No. So your grandpa was there,
Yes.
Yes.
and your dad.
And
Our
that,
aunt.
excuse me, but he used to, oh gosh, we used to sleep in the office, and he used to keep a shotgun by the front door in case anybody came to kill us. I don't know if he had it there all the time, but I remember he wrote my husband, wrote Elmer Horton and Harry, drove them off the property. They came, you know, they were in Spokane at this point. I have to tell you about these guys. It's hysterical.
They were in logging also.
But yes, but they were Americans.
Oh,
A
yes.
fate worse than death, according to him. And he taught out a shotgun and drove them away. They came to see him about buying some, just buy some lumber, you know, is all they want. Good grief. I can remember that.
Remember the smudges outside the door with the grass
Yes.
on fire?
And remember the newspapers when you got to Kootenay Landing, grandfather
Saw that.
or dad came down, they used to put newspapers and then put
For
your
the mosquitoes.
stockings.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the mosquitoes. Yeah, everybody talks about that. About the newspapers. The Indians used to do it too.
Sure.
Well, people died of mosquitoes over there.
Yeah. Right.
One of the early explorers talks about meeting somebody in, I think what's now Manning Park, in a cabin at the top there, and the fellow was crazed. And he said, I spent the night in this with this crazed man whose wife and child had been killed by mosquito bites.
Oh, my
And
word.
he was crazy from it. And they had been at Ktunaxa.
Yeah.
That's how, and it was so bad.
When you got to Ktunaxa, that's what they were.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was terrible. Sort of swampy at the end of the lake.
Yeah, yeah. And it was really bad. Must have been terrible for those men working there.
Oh, I don't know
And
how
all
to
the
think about it.
bunkhouses were awful.
I don't remember them, you know,
Infested with
complaining about it or saying, but it must have been
It was
terrible.
back to life, I guess.
So you remember putting the newspapers out under your stockings?
I
Isn't that
never
neat?
forget that because,
And the
Yeah,
smudges
because-
outside the door each night before you went to bed.
yes,
Did you have screens on the windows and everything?
oh yes, there were screens.
But I mean, so insufferably hot and no ventilation. If you closed the door, you couldn't live in there. If you opened the door, you got eaten out. Fun place to go for the summer.
Big hilarious.
Well, you must have been awful for your mom.
She never
She didn't-
went.
she
Never.
I've never seen I'll tell you what happened. Maybe I shouldn't put this on the tape protection. That Granddad got his son-in-law to quit being a mechanic in the
Yes, in Old Sound.
automobile mechanic in Owen Sound, and got him out there to work in the sawmill,
Okay.
and his daughter too, and their children. And Aunt Janet was so fed up that she had to come all the way out to Duck Creek.
Anybody would
Be, and she was mad, and she didn't like Mum, and Mum, because Mum lived here in a nice house and didn't get to have all those mosquitoes, and she also didn't have JB towering over her every day.
Yeah, right.
So poor Aunt Janet got ordered around by her father all the time.
And her
So
husband.
naturally, she didn't like Mum very well.
Yes. Families.
When I
Families
look back,
wonderful.
families would drive you crazy.
Oh, yeah.
They really would.
I know.
That was a sad situation
Yeah,
for Aunt
that's
Janet.
really
No,
It
they
was
just back up
terrible
and
for her.
Hmm?
No, they just back up and
Well, that's not all
Yeah,
bad.
but we didn't though. We're survivors. We just stayed at whatever.
Yeah, but Mother, I never heard of Mother being in Duck Creek.
I don't think she ever
I
was.
don't
So
think
did you all go together? All the kids?
Oh,
Did
no.
your mom get a break, or did you sort of take turns?
No, Jack and I, we were the two
Uh-huh.
oldest, went together.
And I'd go over there. I've been over there with Jack. I remember one time when our cousin got drowned in the mill pond, you know, where they bring the logs
yeah,
up.
I read about that.
Yes,
That's
and
really
they
sad.
looked all afternoon for Jack and I, and we were playing on the ice up in the ice house, skating on the ice bricks up there, and they were terrified. They thought maybe we could have got drowned too.
Yeah, it says Neil Crane was drowned in the mill pond. And then another man was drowned on a log drive at another time. Gee.
That's another thing me and Aunt Janet
Oh,
really
well,
made her.
Oh, is that
You
her
know,
only
when
child?
that's
Or
No, she had 4 children.
So they lived there
Sure.
and stayed on.
Unfortunately for them, they did.
Okay, so this first mill in Wynndel burned. Then they built, it says in here,
Yes.
3 million feet of lumber went up in smoke.
Yes, I remember
Wow. And most of the lumber had been cut, so the blaze consumed 3/4 of the lumber in the yard.
that. Well, it does, in a lumber yard. I don't
Oh,
know what you know. You know what? There's a draft through, and once it gets going, and there was no water to do
It
anything.
said it was far away from the water, from the mill. They couldn't even use
Yes.
the mill hose. Trying to keep it up. So then, I just can't believe these people building again another one.
They did,
It's just amazing.
because I remember. I'd forgotten about all this.
Yeah. I mean, it's just. Did they have insurance in those days?
Yes,
But not very
sure they
much.
did,
Yeah.
but not.
Not lots.
Or not lots, but some.
So he started again.
Because I remember there was some commotion about the insurance. They got it, but.
So it says here that they operated and then it burned again.
Yes.
Now, was that it for your dad?
You mean at Wynndel?
Yes.
Oh no, there was always one
There was
there.
always one there.
Yeah, it says, but it
They
burned.
sold it to Wiggins.
Yeah.
You know,
Just a minute, what does he say here? He
Wynndel
says,
lost the number.
he says, the Winlaw era ended on Friday, this is what they say, August 13th, 1937, when the JB Winlaw mill caught fire and was totally destroyed, along with the lumber and loading platform. It had been built in 1922 and was modern throughout. It had a daily capacity of 75,000 feet. With a strong wind blowing, the fire swept to all parts of the mill, instantly making it impossible to fight the blaze. Trucks and wagons were used to haul the lumber from the mill to the piling yard, also were destroyed as it was impossible to move them. They lost a circular saw, a band resaw, a planer, edger, large boiler, engine, and some new machinery which had been installed that year. It says the Winlaw mill ceased to exist. In due time, the land was bought by Monrad Wigan and a new sawmill was built.
that's true. That's right.
So that was an incredible time.
Well, I wasn't there.
No.
Was that in
but it
37,
must have
did you say?
37. And so your dad, how old would your dad be then?
Ooh,
He died in 1950, he was 72. Didn't he?
Yes.
72 in 1950s. From 37 to 15 years.
Yes, that's in June,
57.
Does seem young.
doesn't seem young.
Yeah.
37 seems very young. I don't remember.
No, he was 57.
What was I
He'd be
thinking about?
57.
37.
Goodness
Well,
sakes.
that's not so young, Jeanette.
I don't know, that's not very long. I got married in
Well,
1942.
he died in 1950 and he was 72.
Oh, he died
Well,
in
then he was
50.
22 in 1900.
Twenty-two and 37. Okay.
37 was 59.
59 when the mill burned down. So did he retire after that?
Yes.
No, he
sort of.
didn't entirely.
Oh,
He made fence posts and sold fence posts to
Yes,
Sam
but he
Ford.
retired from the sawmill business.
Yeah.
Okay. Retired.
Carried on his business from Nelson. Then.
Oh, so he moved to Nelson.
Yes.
Yes.
And where did he operate in Nelson?
Out of it, he had an office
He
in
had
our
an
house.
office in the house.
Put an extension on the house and built him an office.
And cut fences.
Fence posts, and then he would like go to Winnipeg and sell them.
And market them. That's what I was, we made a list of questions. I mean, we're just going through this generally, but we had a few questions, and one of the questions was, Who bought their lumber? Like, did he sell mostly locally, or did he ship to the
No, it was shipped. You're talking about from Duck Creek.
Yeah.
No, it was mostly
because
shipped
it
on
was put in
CPR, went right,
boxcars.
siding was right
Yeah,
below
it
the
was right
office
there,
there.
right below
Yeah.
the office.
So a lot of
So
prairies.
it went, yes.
Prairie, a
the
lot
prairie,
of prairie, yeah.
back
Well,
east.
would pine lumber come to,
Humboldt?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
I don't
Henry.
remember
I
that.
don't remember. I didn't know, Powell's and Horton, so I don't know. No, because the Powells used to buy white pine and do it down here. Send it back east to get made into, we made matchbox. Send it back east to Pembroke, then send it back out as they used to just shake my head.
Shipping it back and forth.
Yes,
you mean.
back and forth.
Well, I can
Large and
remember
small
Dad going on various trips to the prairie about his business.
Yes, I can too, Jim.
He must have been getting business then.
Did he ever talk about that fire? Remember?
Never remember him saying a word.
Okay.
He may have said it, we didn't hear it.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
what I say. I
kids
don't remember him saying anything about it.
And he died in 1950.
Did Dad die in
I thought it was
1950?
1952, but I'm not sure about that. Are you sure it's 1950, John?
He was 72 when he died.
Yes.
I was in
I know he was.
Saskatoon.
Huh?
I was in Saskatoon going to university.
Oh, that's right. You were.
And I was there in 48.
That would be right, John.
And
You're
your mom?
right.
She died
Mom.
when she was 83. Did another time.
When did she die? I should know. I know from the cemetery.
She outlived him.
Oh, yes.
Died at 80. 82?
83.
He was 83 when she died.
I don't know what year
She's
that-
buried in the Nelson Cemetery. We have it all on index,
Yes.
computer index at City Hall.
Yes.
You can just go in
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and say her name and we look it up. It's great. Somebody phoned the other day and wanted to know when George Smith, their grandfather, had died. So I went into the video. She put out this great list of George Smiths, none of which was the one.
Not right, George Smith. Oh, dear.
So I don't know. I said, so I wrote to her and I said, well, I don't think your dad is any of these George Smiths.
Unbelievable what stored in those banks.
Oh, they know all about us. Oh,
More than we think.
so except for his son, he never had any partner.
No.
No,
No.
Did they leave a fortune? Did they?
no.
No.
No, everything.
Everybody
got
thinks
down
these
that.
people make so much money,
It
No.
finally got burned up down
Yeah.
into the ground, and Dad was on his own selling fence posts.
Yeah. No fortune. You're not the Rockefellers.
No,
No, sorry about that. We're not.
the inheritors of vast wealth or
Yeah,
anything like
okay.
that.
Henry and I were looking at this article. They were talking about this big flume they had in Wynndel. Do you
Yeah.
remember anything
That
about
was
I
that?
do,
in
yeah.
Goat Creek.
Yeah.
Goat Creek.
No, this was in
Yes,
Wynndel.
I
It was a
remember.
great high flume, about this high.
Well, do you
On
remember the
struts.
one that, what was it, Goat
What's
Creek?
that be?
Down Goat Creek.
I don't remember.
Because I remember Jack and I put a kitten in the flue, there's a little on the side. And while we just set it down. And the logs came down and took the kitten.
Oh,
Shush.
that was,
You know,
water in the flume.
yes. Well, we set the kitten, the flume, we set it up here. And before we collected, Jack and I were very big, took the kitten and everything down the flume at Goat Creek.
And we had,
That's all I remember about Goat Creek.
there were quite the Kootenay Indian band was there,
Mhm.
I recall.
Mhm.
And we'd have various friends, like young men, would take us up Duck Creek fishing, I can remember.
And make us moccasins.
Oh yes, they made us moccasins and
Yeah.
gave Dad gunny sacks full of ducks to bring home that I had to pluck.
Wonderful.
Under duress, I might say.
I was just going to ask, it's interesting you brought Indians, because I was going to ask if you remember whether your grandfather or your dad ever had any East Indian or Chinese or Japanese workers.
Not that I
Because
remember.
Lambert's had a big East Indian camp.
No, I don't think they had.
No, I think grandfather
Not
was a
North American
Canadian,
Indians
that was the
either.
end of
There
that,
were none
yeah.
of them working there either. They were
Nothing
just
to do
people
with
who lived
anything.
there that we got to know, that they know, and they take us
Okay,
fishing.
so they did, the Indians didn't work for
They know they didn't.
No, they didn't, but they
Ah.
used to come and see us when
Yeah.
we were over there, you know.
They
they'd
lived
come
in
up from
teepees
the-
in their place there.
Yeah, there's a picture here of
And
the
we used to
mill,
ride their
the teepee
horses.
right beside it.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
That's nice to me.
I want to see this too.
I'd like to get
There.
a copy of that. Where did you get this?
Out of this Forests and Fields, History of Wynndel. I'll bring you a copy.
I
Actually,
love that. I'd like to give one to my brother
Have you
Jackie.
got
in
another
Kelowna.
one of these?
We're terribly ignorant about our family,
Oh,
but not so bad when you start thinking it back.
no.
Do you
That's
remember Frank Piggott?
Take it down.
It's mentioned in there. Okay, so as far as you know, you didn't have any East Indian or Chinese.
No, I'm sure he didn't.
Yeah, just that when I talked to George Lambert, they had one an East Indian camp out at
Yes, I
Lambert's.
remember they did.
Yeah. Okay.
There used to be a lot of Hindus and Indians working the sawmill along the lake, by the way. My father told me about
We
that.
always had a Chinese at the house up on Carbonate Street, always.
Your mom had helper.
More than one.
Wing?
Wing,
Who did the floors,
yes, and Turkey in the
and he
winter.
also did the
Came at
garden.
4 o'clock in the morning and put the furnace, fixed the furnace, so that was a big work.
He fixed the hardwood floors and
And
did
we
the garden.
And we took the
And we had
Jack's little,
song after that.
yes,
They were so nice.
yeah, they were nice people.
Fix the floors? What do you mean fix the floors?
Always did shine the hardwood floors.
Uh-huh.
You know, Shawn, we don't have it as good as my mother did. Gee whiz, when I look back,
Yeah.
all she did was get dressed up and have fun. That's all I remember.
Well, she's pretty alone with
She's-
4 kids all day,
Yeah.
all week. Not exactly fun.
Yeah, but Jeannette, she had a lot of help.
Oh, well, sure she did. But there weren't any appliances in those days.
That's true.
Also, Dad lived through smallpox. Survived smallpox
Yes, he
in
got
our house.
smallpox from the Indians.
Got in the camp over there, and he got into bed at the house in Nelson, and they got quarantined upstairs.
Wow.
And my mother's sister, Mary Matheson, came to nurse him, and Dr. Arthur was the medical health officer, and Dr. Mackenzie. And he was upstairs with smallpox, and we were all confined to the house downstairs, quarantined. With that washing, I can still hear that washing machine going day and night. Aunt Mary, and all the rest of us sleeping on the floor downstairs.
Oh,
And
I can
we
remember.
got that horse serum.
That's
What
all
was
I
it,
can
John?
remember.
Did we
Jack,
horse
my
serum
brother,
vaccination?
they vaccinated us all, and Jack got so sick he was climbing up the wall.
Oh, yeah, from the
Yeah, from the
vaccination.
vaccination.
So a
Here,
horse,
Bentley,
a horse
Bentley.
they used for?
Some
Not the cowpox.
Bentley.
No, this
Oh, the
was
horse?
This was,
No. And he survived.
he
He
survived.
did survive.
Yes, he
That's
did.
astounding, isn't it?
What year would that be?
Well,
What year would that
Well,
be?
he got it from the Indians over at Wynndel.
Aye.
No, I don't know when.
yeah, that was quite a siege, wasn't it?
But terrible. And the Indians tried to cure it. You know, they built a big thing and with the I don't know what kind of boughs, trying to
Oh, a sweat
steam
lodge.
it. Yes. And then when he got so sick they couldn't do anything, then they sent him to Nielson.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it really was quite a siege, wasn't
Yeah.
it? We were in there for weeks.
And I think about it, we're survivors.
Nobody would ever come near the house.
Aren't we though?
They put the milk and stuff way, way up at the top of the lot up there. We had to go and get it when nobody out on the street.
And none of you got it.
No, we didn't.
No, that was a miracle. Our Aunt Mary never got it. The doctors
No, and
didn't
she
get it.
came
Isn't
from
that
Toronto.
astonishing? You know, you always think it's so terribly contagious. I don't know how they didn't get it.
She must have known the right way to.
Well, she was the matron in the hospital when she was a nurse, but that wouldn't save you though, really.
Like that kind of mind over matter too.
I don't
Do you
know.
think so,
Dive
Henry?
into things and do it.
That's
Yeah.
Dr. Arthur and
He was the medical
Dr.
health
McKenzie.
doctor. Who's our Dr. McKenzie's? HR, Harry McKenzie.
Harry
Dr.
McKenzie.
were you guys, you were both all born at home? Was it a doctor?
Dr. McKenzie.
Yes, with Dr. McKenzie.
Did a midwife come and stay at the house?
No.
Help your mom
No,
out?
Aunt Mary came.
Yeah, Aunt Mary always came every time.
She came from Toronto every time we had a baby.
Ah,
Just
that's great. Okay,
Mother was never in the hospital until Jack was about a year old before Mother ever had to go in the hospital, and she's just terrified. She'd never, to that age, ever been in a hospital as a
I
patient.
remember she was really upset about it.
okay, so did your dad like what he was doing?
Oh, we loved it.
Okay. So he put up with his dad because he loved what he was doing.
Oh yeah, they worked along. That
Well,
was no
they
big
got
deal.
along all right,
did
except,
their
as I
business
say,
together.
grandfather had a terrible temper, a quick one. You know? But Dad, I don't think Dad paid him attention. I'll tell you the truth.
It's interesting because it seemed like Dad had two separate lives.
You could just
Yeah, you
walk
know,
in
he was
something like that
calm.
and just
No, I
pretend
don't think it
pretend
bothered
wasn't happening.
Well, Dad had like two separate lives. When he came home, he was an elder in the Presbyterian Church, and he had his shrine lodge and all his suits in a walk-in closet up there, about 8 suits and shine shoes and hats and ties. And as soon as he got home, he got completely changed out of his lodging clothes and read the Financial Post and went to church. And then left
Nothing
again.
to do with John B. Winlaw.
Left again at 1 o'clock in the morning on the train on Sunday night. That's how I met John. I was driving Dad down to the train one night at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I drove down there, and I knew every rock in the road, so I didn't have my headlights on when I was coming back along Baker Street by the Daily News, and Constable Carpenter came out with his flashlight and said, "Lady, do you realize you don't have your headlights on?" That's how I met John.
No.
Come on, Billy.
That's really
This dog's well trained.
Yeah, he's really well trained. You have to get him on the phone before.
How did, with this inauspicious beginning with the Hortons, how did you get to marry one?
Well, I was small when that happened, not very
Yeah.
big. I didn't know Harry till, well, his first wife ran off with somebody, the coast, but then she had been down there 8 years. Well, she just left and said good day to you. And so I met Harry with Wilf Carey, was a club.
Yeah.
With her brother. They had a place up the lake. And Elizabeth and I used to go up there because I've been there to us when I was a widow. And Harry and Wilf came up there and they were both absolutely bombed. And I was so mad at them. I mean, they were insulting. Elizabeth and I were quite a lot younger than they were. So that's how I met him. Not very well, but he followed the applicant, so I thought, well. But at that point, we both decided we were never going to get married again.
Was he from the Russells from Russell's Landing?
No, his dad was an engineer on the CPR.
Tell you about Harry coming into Granville's Cafe one night when I was there. Kirby had the little Pomeranian dog.
Yes,
and
I
he's
remember
got this
very
pup.
well.
And Kirby was so proud of this thing, and he was showing it off. Harry came through the door, looked at the pup, and looked at Kirby, and Kirby says, what do you think of my dog? Harry says, the only way I'd want a dog like that is between two buns.
No.
Very like me.
Very like big dogs.
Okay, so I'm just looking through it, and we got all the questions.
This is a disjointed effort.
That's okay. That's
Is
pretty good. We've answered all the questions Henry and I put down.
Oh, well,
I said
then
that we
think
probably
that
won't do them in the order that we that well, it'll come the way it comes, but we'll get all the answers.
I'd love to see that thing that you. What
John's
have you
looking
got?
at
Oh,
this one, yeah.
I'd love. Have you got another one of those?
Oh, sure, I can make you
I'd
another one.
love one.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's turn this off. Yes, we'd love one. Wouldn't we, Henry? I'd love one.